Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Breakers Creations. Welcome to my live stream today. I haven't streamed since my last workshop and wine that I did last week, I think, end of last week, while my wife was traveling. And then during the weekend I did some stuff. I erected some shelves behind me so that I didn't have to keep using my ultrasonic cleaners as shelves, which of course you will have seen, or these boards over here, using them as shelves. So I've now got lots of boards all over the place here. So check and see how it goes. I mean, it's all very new, and I still haven't got everything back in here that I took out of here during this process, because it was a very, very difficult process. But hopefully it means I can get things in a little bit more order. At the moment I've got things strewn everywhere, and I just need to get some I don't know, sort of, I'm just not getting things done, which is a problem. So, anywho, hello to Colin from This Does Not Compute. Hello to Steve from Mag84, Enzo Fitzhume, Thomas Armstrong, Dana from Dana Does Stuff. Hello there. And Sam Johnson. Okay, you keep doing this too. Leon Edate. You seriously can tell me 1,000 times and I'll keep getting it wrong. Please don't take offense to that. That's just because my brain is, not very good. Things just leak out. Information goes in, information comes out. It's just a constant thing. But I think I got it reasonably. Leon Edate. That sort of feels like what I was saying before. I'm pretty sure that's the case. It's cold. I'm going to turn a heater on. I didn't turn this on beforehand because sometimes this goes. Sergio Leone. Is that it? Sergio Leone? So, Leone Edate? That's certainly how I would say it, but I could be saying that very wrong. So I'm going to turn the heater on, and the reason why I do this on camera is because sometimes this blows up in fire, and I just think that's nice to capture it on live. There we go. Nothing? No. Very uneventful. Oh, there she goes. Here we go. A few flames coming out. Anyhow, it'll keep me warm. It is getting cold here. It's 8 degrees Celsius, and I know that's not cold for a lot of people, but for me it's cold. Summer here and the furnace is coming on. What? Yes, it's it hasn't been too bad here, but last night was definitely very, very chilly. Very chilly indeed. So anyhow, my desk is a little bit of a mess at the moment because as I was cleaning out here, every time I'd find a little something, I'd go, oh, I'll put that there. So my desk is covered in what I would just refer to as miscellaneous at the moment. But I've still got enough room to work here. The desk is the next thing. That'll be the next thing I work on, but that's not for today. A couple of things here. I have here, and Steve, if you're present, you might be able to just confirm a couple of things. So I have here the secondary processor for a UMX Gemini. So for people who may or may not be familiar with these were one of the Macintosh clones that were around during the 90s, before Steve Jobs came back. And there was a UMX Gemini which actually had 2 CPUs in it, and they were on a daughter card like this. And so you would pop the CPU in and you could run it as a single CPU computer, or you could then get this second one and then you'd run a little ribbon cable between the two. Now, I had this ages ago, so this actually, I inherited this from my work. When they upgraded, I took all of their old clones home and turned them into a render farm many, many years ago. And I had one of these Geminis that did the dual CPU. Now, along the way, I ended up getting rid of all those clones because I didn't see any value in keeping them and I didn't need them anymore. But before I got rid of them, I took all of the CPUs out, I took all of the ROMs out, I took all of the caches out of them. And all the RAM, of course. So I was just getting rid of, ultimately logic boards or motherboards, and I regret that now. I mean, I wish I had kept them because they would have been good for someone. But anyhow, I had a dual CPU Umax there, and I ended up giving the CPU away, but then the person I gave it away to then didn't need it, so he gave it back to me. And so this is one of these sort of Umax CPU daughter cards. This was in a fire. Hello to Jack68K. This was in a fire, and also someone had a go at recapping this, so they took all the caps off but didn't stick new ones on, tore a few pads, that sort of stuff. I have repaired them and I've put new caps on. I just need Steve from Mac84, who has one of these, to confirm for me that these three capacitors, this one, and this one, are all 4716s. I would ideally like to know that that is the case. Sean from Action Retro, hello there. You'll appreciate this, Sean. This is the Gemini secondary processor for Umax. So if you had a Umax Gemini, you could run it with one CPU, or you could pop this in and run it with two CPUs. He probably has one of these. What does that shirt say? It says, Rebel Scum, since 1977. Rebel Scum. So anyhow, I want to get this working, and I'm actually going to give it to Steve from Mac84. I think he has one, but I think he has problems with it. So I figured I would, I have no use for it. I don't have a computer that it can go in. So I thought I would send it across to Steve, because he does have computers that can go in. This is the cooling fan for it here, the heatsink and cooling fan. But I don't want to put these back together until I know for sure, that I've got the right caps on there. And then I'll stick some goo on it and all that sort of stuff. Then I have here another one of these little daughter cards. This one is a Max Power, newer technology. This is a 604E 200 megahertz, this one here. This was also in a fire. This one was very badly damaged. I've put this in the ultrasonic cleaner for a good long while, and it's still pretty crap. But I'm going to try and clean these up and then check and see if maybe it does actually work. I think Brisbane microscope lens is a fancy pants boom mic. This one, this is my top-down camera. So this is the one that gives me this view here, like that. So anyhow, these are things that are just cluttering up my desk at the moment. I thought I would just have a quick little chat about them. They will be projects for another day. This is a battery bombed SE30, which I have been transferring the components gradually across onto this one reloaded board. This was the reloaded board that was generously donated to the channel by Colin from This Does Not Compute. And then this is a battery damaged SE30, which I've done a couple of live streams on so far. Still lots of work to go on that one. But I'll pop those up in the ultrasonic cleaner, and that's how long it took for the ultrasonic cleaner to become a shelf. Right, now I need to move the keyboard out of the way. We need to get the analog board, and we need to start getting cracking on this. Now, one of the really awesome things about this new layout that I have here in my workshop is if I just lean that way, that's all my capacitors over there, down under there. So they're way easier for me to reach now. I don't have to get up and make old man noises as I grab them from the top shelf up there. I don't even know why I put them on the top shelf. I mean, they would have made so much more sense to put them on this middle shelf. I don't use anything on the middle shelf, so I could have just stuck all that stuff up on the top shelf, which I did, and have the capacitors on the middle shelf. But I wasn't really smart enough to do that. But anyhow, I've got them all behind me now, so it'll be much, much easier for me. Lots of capacitors. So, Steve, you probably disappear there for a little while. If you wouldn't mind, whenever you get a moment, if you could grab your Gemini, Umax Gemini secondary CPU card, and just confirm for me that this capacitor and this capacitor and this capacitor are all 4716s. If you wouldn't mind confirming that for me at some stage, that would be great. Then I can put the heatsink back on this, then I can send it to you, and you can test it out and see if it works, and compare it to the one you've already got, and all the things. You can do all the things. All the things. Okay. Okay, I think I've got everything I need here, so this is quite good. I won't be firing up the cow machine, the solder sucker, only because I don't particularly like using it. I much prefer either using my Brucinator manual one. Quite like using this one. I will have to remove the heatsink. I'll do that this weekend. Thank you very much for doing that. Appreciate it. It's a pretty straightforward process. I think there are 4 screws. 4 screws? 4 screws! And I think you have to... I think there's another screw here or something. And you have to... It might be 5 screws. And that it's because there's the thing. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, that's from underside. Yeah. I think. Yeah, I think you have to undo a screw in here as well, so that you can then separate this little guy from the heatsink. So you've got the 4 on the outside and then that little one there. So yeah. You haven't missed much at all, Jibatronics. I have just been prattling on about garbage. Nothing particularly important. Oh, I did some work on a hard drive the other day. So I had someone bring me an old SE30. Oh, and look at this. Look, I polished an Apple logo. Look at that. Look at that. This one had lost a lot of its colour. So I polished it to a sheen. And I'm going to put that in a computer and make it look really custom. Rare. Steve Jobs. No low balls. I know what I've got. So, yeah. I'll just... Oh, yeah, how about I use the better camera for that? There we go. See my little shiny Apple logo? So that's the logo that came out of the front of an LC2. And I've just decided to polish it to a shine. I like it. I quite like it. Y'all ready for some scunge? I don't know what this one's going to be like, but we'll have a look. I'm certainly going to need my recapping guide because I am not that good at remembering all the analog board caps. I'm pretty good at remembering the logic board caps, but analog is just too hard, mate. Okay, resources. I've got here... oh, for fridge magnet's sake. There we go. Okay. SE30. Oh, wait a minute. Do I even have an SE30 power supply recapping guide? I don't think I do. I mean, I've got one, but I don't think I've ever put it up on the website because it's so bad. Okay. It's in my book, I think. So we'll have to go the old-fashioned way. Let's get the board and have a look at it at least. It is very rusty. So let's just get this. Someone's doing a little bit of work. I can hear a drill or something going hard at it. All right, so this is the board here. We've got the analog board, then you've got this power supply. The power supply will need to be recapped as well. Ultimately, the person who sent this to me has said, just restore it. Bring it back to life. I want it to be good. So, well, I'm going to do that. And because I did all of this work to the workshop, I thought it would be good to work on something where I need to grab lots of different capacitors, because they'll be nice and easy to grab these days. More than one screw, forget it. So we've got this little cage here that's very, very rusty. I should probably give that a bit of a tidy. And we've got caps everywhere. We're going to have to be replaced. Yes, all of them. Just trying to think. SE analog. I'm sure. I mean, I must have a guide. I mean, surely. Don't call me Shirley. Oops! I just bumped the camera. Sorry about that. I think that tells me I've got it too far forward if I'm just going to bump it like that. Oh. There we go. All right, let's have a look-see here, see what we've got. Oh, God, that's a bit scungy. Well, you look at that. I do have a guide. Yep, that's great. I do have a guide, but I just haven't got it on the website. I'll have to do something about that. The burned yoke connectors on these always exudes confidence. Yeah. Now, I've got to do something about this, and I don't know, because the one of the plugs here is actually, the plastic is actually damaged because it's generated so much heat and so much resistance. You can actually see on the other side here, there's a burn mark here. Now, I have a spare yoke, and it's got a little bit of discoloration, but it's not as bad as this one, so I may end up swapping the yoke over so that I've got that better connector. But we'll see. I mean, I might be able to do something with this. I'll probably take this plug off, and I'll probably try and clean up that pin, make it a little bit better. You can buy new connectors still. What? Yeah, what? What? That sounds like sorcery to me. Would these things still be available today? No way. Really? Crikey. Good old Molex, eh? So the first thing I do is take the power supply off. I'll put him aside for the moment. Oh god, this is in there. There we go. And then we'll just undo some screws from here. I might... bloody Ziploc bags. I haven't brought them back down here again. I'm going to put some screws in a Ziploc bag because it helps me not lose things. You are. Sony ones are the better ones. Okay, so... Okay. I'll have a look. I'm not sure... Yeah. There's one type of these that I've done lots of recapping on. And then another one not as much. But I just can't remember which is which. I can remember when I see them inside. But... there we go. Mr. Power Supply. So this is one of those Aztec ones. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the one I'm most familiar with. It has that sort of heatsink on the end there. And all these. I think? I could be wrong. Oh, anyhow, it's going to need recapping, so... That's that. How about that? Got to get some caps off this now. Most of these are fairly standard. The one which is a little bit unusual is this guy here, because it's a non-polar cap. 3.9 microfarad, 35 volt. That's going to be getting replaced with a, what is it, the polymer or something like that? I can't remember what they are. I think I store them in the MISC pile. I've got lots and lots of containers labelled MISC. And I just have to find the right MISC. One of the issues I have is there's no real rhyme or reason in the way that I have put stuff in these, and it would make sense that I go in and sort them out one day and just maybe put all ICs in one and put all safety caps in the other and stuff like that. Now, I've got a few. Some things are fairly well organised, but I mean, what the hell is that? What is it? I don't know. Power regulator? Voltage regulator? Probably. 395. The code is 395, so it's 39 with 5 zeros after it, which is 3.9 microfarad. 211 Tourist, hello there. Hang on, I'm just trying to remember your name. I know your name. You told me, and it's gone, but it's in my brain somewhere. Sol. Yeah, I remember just before the words went in there. I knew it was in my brain somewhere. Okay, so this is what we're going to end up using to replace this capacitor here, this non-polar cap. It works fine. I actually got this information about these from JDW. James, wait, JWD? JDW? JW? I don't know. James Wages. So I got this miscellaneous thing from a container called Miscellaneous. Flyback transformer. Just in case anyone didn't know. I'm sure everyone here does. We got a few axials in here as well. I'm pretty sure I've got replacements for all of these. So I'm just going to whip all the caps off and then we'll whip them back on again. Alright. So I've got my soldering iron all fired up here. It's on fire. I mean, not literally. I've got a fire blanket here. Look at that. Fire blanket. Nice and easily accessible in case there's a fire. And I also have down here this guy. This is a fire extinguisher. Good things to have in a workshop. We'll just say that. JDW, yep. You can view some recapping these boards and the power supplies. Yep. Alrighty, let's start whipping caps off. So, this one here, we've got quite a lot of goo on this, so this one's gonna take a bit of work to get it off. They'll have that. It's not actually hot glue, but it's like some sort of snot to stop them from vibrating. It does apparently prolong the life of the capacitor to have the vibrating stopped. But it is then a pain to get these off because they're... Yeah, oh, that wasn't hard at all. Just came straight off. 4716. Looks fine. Don't see any leakage. I don't expect to actually see any leakage on any of these. The SE power supplies generally don't. It doesn't mean the caps aren't old and probably ready for replacement, but they don't usually leak. I'm just going to take this connector off too while I'm at it. Oh, video frozen here. Is it anyone else getting video frozen? Everything appears to be going through. I don't have any connection issues. Still fine here. Good. 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 Oh, that smelled. Smells like burning, that one. Okie dokie. I watched that Back to Black Amy Winehouse film the other night. Not terribly impressed. Reasonably good storytelling. But I didn't like the sound of the voice of the actress who was in it. I'm going to need some fume extraction. Because we do the right thing round here. Browser refresh fixed it. Good to hear it. Pedro147, hello there. Christ Flare. The Soldering Beginner's Guide helped me gain the most comprehensive understanding of soldering and truly built up my confidence to get behind the iron. Much thanks, Bruce, from Philip in Long Beach, California. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated, Philip. So it's always nice to hear that. I really actually need to go in and probably do a revised version of that first beginner's guide because that is now so old and I cough all the way through it. Because we've got such a mess going on here with this, it's all burned and stuff like that, I really want to clean this up. Okay, cool. Excellent. Thank you for that, Colin. Just got your message. I will definitely check that out. I mean, it's a bit burned. I mean, but you know, come on. Come on. It's fine. I'm going to actually try and pull this pin out. Pull the pin. Melty. Ow. Who would have thought that something I hit with a soldering iron would still be hot? Well, look at that. You can't see it very well, unfortunately, but I can probably do a bit of a focus. So this is the bottom. I've just taken the pin out of this connector. And this thing sticking around there is the bottom of the plug that has actually snapped off. So the plug is actually missing a bit of plastic, and here is the missing plastic. So I got the 100 watt. Oh, you got the 100 watt version of the extractor because it's enough for you. Good, 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 good. I hope it's going well. I'm so happy with this. Truly, really, really. I did recently put up onto my Thingiverse page the STL file of the little switch holder that I put on here. The switch is a fairly straightforward one. I actually bought it from JCar, but I imagine people would be able to find something similar. Right, so this pin here, I think I can probably bring it back to life with some TLC. So what I might do is pop that in the Ziploc bag with other things, and we can have a look at that at a later date. What causes that burning? It seems to just happen from time to time in these old power supplies. I can actually tell you exactly what happens. This is the most common cause, okay? And what you have to remember is that poor continuity creates a runaway effect with resistance and heat. Usually what ends up happening is you get cracked solder joints around here. And those cracked solder joints end up creating resistance. And so you're not getting a really good connection between the trace and that metal pin. And so what that does is that resistance translates into heat. And then that heat can then often end up reducing the resistance even more, and then so you get this runaway effect, and then it starts getting hot and burning. So really, if you're wanting to prevent this from happening, the most important thing is to redo your solder joints on these. I have not seen one single analog board of this vintage that hasn't had at least one cracked solder joint on one of these connectors. This is the most common, but it also happens on that one, that one, that one, and sometimes on the flyback transformer. So, yeah, it has to be it's just sort of just standard sort of maintenance with these. Justin's here. Hello there, Justin. So anyhow, I need to find my scalpel. I've been looking for it while I've been talking, and I realise that I have to lift it up. So I'm going to take a little bit of this green stuff off because it is blackened, and I would rather have nothing blackened on here. Oh, and I've just managed to damage that, but that's okay. We can clean that up with a nice big glob of solder. Stay. There we go. So when I put that back together, I'll have a nice big glob of solder there to make sure we're getting good contact. But I need to recondition that pin first because I don't think that pin will take solder very well at all. And I could potentially take a plug off another board, but we're not at that stage yet. All right, so I've taken that off. Let's keep getting these caps off. Reflow all the things. There we go. Just making sure we've got nice focus there. Focus! Focus! Ugh. I've got more gunk, more sticky stuff on here. There we go. Got that off. As I said before, I really don't expect to have too much issue with the capacitors leaking or anything like that. I very rarely see that on these SEs. It's really common for this capacitor to have problems, so he definitely has to be replaced. Gone are the days, really, when I used to say, oh, you don't need to worry about replacing that one, just replace this one and this one. And so many of these now, the caps are so old, they just need to be replaced. All the things. What desoldering pump do you recommend? The one I'm currently using is Kaka. Now, the one that I use, I discovered with my friend Jay from the House of Moth. It's remarkably difficult to find in the US. Well, actually, that's not true. He was trying to get it off Amazon, and it was really, really expensive. But the one that I use, and I'll just go through the reasons why I use it and why I like it, is by a company called GUT. So it says here, GUT Solder Sucker, and it's the same company that make the WICK here. So all that brown gunk all over it. I've got clean ones around here, but anyhow, GUT WICK, GUT, it's all GUT. So now the reason why I like this is because it's quite big, it's quite powerful. You have to be careful with them. You do have to be, particularly if you're using them around small and delicate components, because when the little thing comes out, when it goes whooshka, it can really come with a lot of force, and you can sometimes end up damaging the board. So you do have to be quite careful with them. But the main reason why I like this one is it's so easy to clean. You literally just turn that, pull that out, empty out whatever gunk is in there, empty, and then back on, push, and turn, and it's locked. And they're really easy. Good, it's German for it's alright. So anyhow, that's the one that I use. My friend Jay from House of Moth was looking to get one like this because he had one that was small and very ineffective, and he looked around and they were really expensive, and it actually worked out cheaper for me to buy one locally and post it to him than it was for him to actually buy one, I think, off Amazon. Don't ask me why. Now, that may not be the case now. You may find these for cheaper, and you may even find the same solder sucker just with a different brand name on it. But this is the one that I use and I like. Tote, tote, tote. Alright, now, that's not a capacitor. That's a capacitor. That one there. Right there. I do have a motorized solder sucker, one that you can just fire up and then you just, and it just sucks it out. But I haven't fired it up in ages. It's kind of buried over there. I would need to make a bit of space to use it. And then the other thing is, it clogs up a lot. Just ordered 2 Apple II ROM cards. They have no chips on them. I must be crazy. You must be crazy, sir. I built a was it Briel? That guy Briel? He made these Apple I rebuilds, kind of like they're like a clone, and he made it so that you can make an Apple I. It's fall out? Yeah, cap fell out. I think it's Briel. I think it's the guy's name. And I built one of those. It was unfortunate when I received it. There was a missing component, but he sent that to me. And I was a little bit baffled when I used the Apple I for the very first time, because I'm like, where's the backspace key? Going to use one for making a dead test card with Adrian Black's dead test ROM, and the other to hold a set of Apple II Plus ROMs. Interesting. I have 2, well, technically 3, but let's say 2 Macs from the Apple II series. I have an Apple IIe, which was very generously donated to the channel by Rudy. And unfortunately with that one, it's got the old-fashioned power supply, which you can't easily change from whatever it is, 110 volts to 230 volts. So I have to run that computer through a one of those switchy thingies that takes 240 down to 110. Hello, chicken. But I will one day get a better power supply for it. I'll probably buy a new replacement on it, because I know you can do that. Here comes the goop. I dropped something. Probably not important. Hey, chicken, come here. Hey, chicken. Hey. No, not interested. Let's go and have a look at the chooks, see how they'll go. Chook cam. There we go. Blind chook there, just standing there. And a pigeon drinking water. I don't know where the rest are. step-down transformer, that's the word. Yeah, so anyhow, I mean, I grew up with Apple IIe. I love the Apple IIe. My sort of family's first serious computer was an Apple IIe. Prior to that, I had a little 80s micro called a VZ200, which is known in other parts of the world as the Laser 200. And then I got a VZ300. And then when to start with, you know, I mean, I was kind of having to convince my parents of having a computer. I mean, it was something that it was interesting me greatly, but my parents didn't have a whole lot of interest in it. And then eventually they actually started using my computer for themselves as well. They started doing, you know, word processing on it and stuff. And so then it was like, yes, well, we are definitely a computer house now. And so the next computer we got was an Apple IIe. And I have lots and lots and lots of fond memories of that computer. Just bear with me a quick second here. Okay, so yeah, I mean, the old Apple IIe, you know, huge part of computing history. I don't think anyone would deny that. Go there to there. Okay. Now, what else did I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about Riven. I don't know, has anyone here ever played the computer game Riven? Made by Cyan, the people that made Myst. And Riven was the sequel to Myst. There have actually been 5 games associated with Myst. There was Myst, there was Riven, Myst 3 Exile, Myst 4, and Myst 5, whatever it is. And just a few days ago, as in June 25th, Myst released a ground-up rewrite of Riven. And it's using the Unreal Engine. So instead of just being a whole series of still frames that you walk around, you are actually in full real-time rendered 3D, and it is quite spectacular. I am probably... Apple's Anonymous, Nick, hello there. I am probably going to make a video about Riven, just sort of like a bit of a review video from the perspective of someone who was a huge fan of the original. But I can highly recommend it. If you like that sort of point-and-click adventure game and you've got some reasonable graphics power on your computer, I would highly recommend checking out that new rewrite of Riven. And it's different. You can't just use the old Riven walkthrough for the new Riven. There's lots of new puzzles, lots of new challenges, things in different places. It is really very much a new game. So yeah, highly recommend that. There are walkthroughs out there. People have already published walkthroughs. So if you're a dummy like me and you need a little bit of help, so, why isn't Jay from the House of Moth here? He's always bugging me to do a live stream, and then I do a live stream and he doesn't turn up. It's rude, don't you think? Rude. I have, as part of doing a review for Riven, which is my intention, I played from start to finish the old version, because I thought, I'm playing the new one, and I'm like, I don't remember it being like this. I don't remember this being here. I don't remember this being there. And so I thought, I've got to play the old game so I can be sure. Every workshop should have like a big blushing brush thingy. These are fantastic for getting dust off. And they're cheap. And you can pick these up just at like supermarket in the makeup aisle, and you know they are just so good for getting dust off. Hello. One of the things about Apple II clones, I'll mention this very quickly. There's a huge Apple II clone community out here in Australia, because there were lots of Australian Apple II clones. Now, I have talked about this before, and there was a condition in Australian schools that if you were going to have a computer in a school, it had to have a certain quantity of it, or a certain amount of it was made in Australia. They were trying to, obviously protect the Australian computer industry, so they were trying to get Australian computers into Australian schools. And so this huge market for making clones of Apple IIs, because Apple IIs had a lot of the good educational software at the time. And so people were madly trying to clone these Apple IIs, and there was a one here called a Wombat. I don't know if anyone who knows their Apples should know of the Wombat clone. Right. Now, I'm going to just move this out of the way for a minute. I already grabbed a capacitor, so I'm going to put this one in first, if it's still here. Yes, it's still here. So this is the capacitor that I'm going to put into this C15 location. One thing I do actually want to mention about the SE and the SE30, what's such a wonderful thing about these, is the fact that they have this kind of switching power supply that will, you can just plug either 230 volts, 240 volts, or 110, 120 into it. And you don't need to flick a switch, you don't need to move any capacitors around. When you look at the old 512K, the Mac Plus, the Classic 2, they actually have to be modified to take one voltage or the other, whereas this is just the power supply and it works for everywhere. And that's one of the things I really love about the SE. So these boards are all common throughout the world, whereas when you're looking at, say, a Macintosh Plus, you've got an international version and you've got the US version. Great big pigeon. That is a big fat pigeon. You've been eating my chicken's food, haven't you? Apple IIe card made in Australia. Goodness me. The Apple IIe card is one. I used to have an Apple IIe card and I sold it. I kick myself for that now because I really wish I had one. But at the time I was just not really getting into the whole vintage computer stuff, and I was like, oh, I can make some money from this. Let's get rid of it. And I feel like a right dick now. Because, they've just become so expensive, and certainly out here quite hard to find. Right, now what I'm doing here, I'm just grabbing a little bit of heat shrink, and I'm going to get this heat shrink, and because I have to mount this capacitor vertically. So what I do is I put a bit of heat shrink there, and then that's just protecting that pin when I mount it vertically. So just going to stick it in first, I suppose, and we're going to try and shove this in here so that it fits, maybe that way. It's a little bit tricky because you got the connector right next to it, so you don't want this hanging out too far. There we go. There we go. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Come on, solder. Let's do our work today. There we go. Come on, off. And then this one, I'll just make sure that's pushed out well. I'm going to have to turn the fume extractor back on again, aren't I? Aren't I? Yeah, no, yeah. replace the surface mount caps on that 2E card. They are super leaky. Yes, yes indeed. Indeedy. I have actually done a few, even though I don't own one. I have recapped a few 2E cards for customers. Right, so I'm going to heat up that heat shrink now, and whatnot. Incidentally, just letting everyone know that when you look at these boards that have this goo on them, a lot of the time people think it's hot glue from a hot glue gun. It's not. I don't know what specifically it comes from. I mean, it probably does come from some sort of hot glue gun. But your standard hot glue that you get from a hot glue gun isn't really suitable for this purpose, because that stuff has quite a low melting point. And so you can stick that onto a capacitor or in a power supply or something. That power supply warms up and that hot glue just starts melting down the board. So you can't really just use regular hot glue from a hot glue gun to do this stuff. Just going to jump over here very quickly. Cool. Oopsie. Whoopsie. There we go. Okay, so now we've got to start populating this thing with capacitors. And thankfully I do have a guide here, even though it's not on my website. So let's start off with, done that one. We've got a 10 microfarad 160 volt. So let's find out where I keep my 160 volts. I have probably got that in this one here. 10 microfarad, 160 volt. Yep, so I do have that here in my little special container. This is a special container. It's special because it's only got one capacitor in there. I'll tell you what I do have in here. I've got these little guys. These are the little sensory things for inside the old Macintosh 128K, 512K Mac Plus mouse. The old mouse, they're the little emitters that emit the light for the spinny thing on the mouse. And I have actually repaired a mouse with those before. And that. Okay, so this one, 10 microfarad, 16 volt. He lives in position, I think, is that C7? Yeah, C7. So positive up there, negative down there. And let's get that cap on there. I don't like recapping analog boards as much as I like recapping logic boards. I really enjoy recapping logic boards. I get a lot more joy out of it. But as I said at the beginning of this live stream, I have made some very significant changes to my workshop here in terms of, I've put up some shelves behind me. And so I now have my capacitors behind me, and I thought it would be fun to do a recapping job where I need to reach around and grab lots of different types of capacitors. So that's why I'm doing an analog board. That is the reasoning. That is the justification. And then another job that I'll be trying to do this weekend, if I have time, I've got a big sort of product launch on Tuesday, so I'll probably have to do some other work this weekend. But another thing I want to try and do is start getting a lot of these boards up here figured out. A lot of them have just sort of been sitting up. I've worked on them. There's been a problem. I've put them on the back burner, and then they've stayed on the back burner. And I want to start bringing them back out again and trying to figure them out. Yes, it is cold here in Sydney today. Actually, where I am now, it's 13. Because I'm a little bit further west than where that temperature is taken from. And that's like cloudy. It is cloudy, but it's not too bad out there. It's fairly, it's not really dark cloudy out here. Low odor, no acid, hopefully. Yeah, so I have this stuff. Unfortunately, this is now rock solid, so I don't use this anymore. But when I am sticking stuff on, this is what I use. It's a silicon sealant, or silastic as it's often called. And this is electrical sealant. So this is one that's specifically designed for use with electrical stuff. But unfortunately, that one is now so old that it's just one gigantic lump inside. Let's get another cap. So that was 160 volt. Now we've got a 22 microfarad 50 volt axial. Now I do actually have a whole container for 50 volt axials. I don't know why he deserves that, but I've got it. Yep, I've got it. And that is a 22 microfarad. 22 microfarad. Here he is. Fingers crossed for a 2FX board. I can't even remember your 2FX board, Max. I'll have to familiarize myself. I mean, things are logged in, but what state did we get to with your 2FX board? Do you remember? So many repairs under the bridge. So, 2250. Okay, now I've got a little custom capacitor bendery thingy that I made. I think it's just dead. Okay, well if it's just dead, then we might be all right. It's the battery damaged ones that are a nightmare. Nightmare fuel. There's my thing. So I made this thing. It's 3D printed, and it's designed for bending the leads of capacitors to a particular width. So this is this width. So I pop the capacitor in here and then I just bend the leads down, and that gives me a nice neat bend. Where was I? C18, positive that way. Whoa. Watch what you're doing, Rain. Don't think there was battery damage. Cool. Well, thankfully the 2FX has a, I think it has a, we've got a schematic for. So that's nice. It makes life a little bit easier. We're trying to do address lines and data lines and all that sort of clips. What's next? 33 microfarad, 16 volt axial caps. I'll put all of these down the bottom because I don't use them very often. And then, of course, the very next job I do, I need them. That's just how it works. What was it? 3360. 33. I've got 25. 3325. That'll be fine. Doesn't matter if we go up the voltage a bit. It's the same size too as the original. I sent you the last email with the Mac 2X 2FX repair for a 2X board. Yeah. Is it repair or is it recapping? Recapping's pretty straightforward. Repair, on the other hand, depending on the state of the boards, there we go. Tiddly-pom. There we go. Anyone seen any interesting movies lately? I'm always on the lookout. Getting very disappointed with movies at the moment. Just in general. Very rarely does a movie come along that I go, that's good. Most of them are just crap. Crap. Hello from Los Angeles. Hello there to Mike Wheat. Hello there. Thank you for joining. I am in the process of trying to fix up and restore and recap a Macintosh SE 30. I reached for the low-hanging fruit today. I've got plenty of other stuff which needs doing, but it's stuff that needs diagnostics and work and time and brain power and all that sort of crap. And I decided that today is not the day for that. I would just grab something easy to work on. Now, of course, I think it's easy. Who knows? Might turn out to be a nightmare. Yeah, movie theatres aren't doing well at the moment. People just aren't going to the theatre. And I can't say I blame them. There's just so much crap around at the moment. It's like, you want my bloody hard-earned, or you want me to sit still for 2 hours when you're just making rubbish. Good movies do come along every now and again, but they're so few and far between these days. I look at certain films and I sort of think, yeah, I'm happy to just watch that on the TV. I'm not sure I want to spend money on a movie ticket for that. There's a theatre here in Sydney called the Orpheum, and they actually do this thing where they air old movies. And when I say old, I mean they do some very old movies, but they will air sort of classics. Like you might be able to go and see, say, the original Jurassic Park on the big screen or something like that. And it's actually quite fun. You know, you can go there and you can watch a film that you haven't seen in ages, and you can go see it on the big screen, and like a really good film. And the most recent one that I saw there was The Abyss, when there was the re-release of The Abyss in 4K or whatever. So I don't think it's even come out on disc yet, but anyhow, well, certainly not here. They released that in cinemas, and I went and watched that there, and that was good fun. Go and see Inside Out too. I'm not a big fan of kids' movies. I don't know. I'm not taking anything away from the way they make those films. I mean, things like the sort of the Pixar type films where they do a lot of nuanced stuff for adults as well. But I just really don't get into kids' movies at all. I just noticed that this capacitor here has got a bulge. This is very bulgy, this one. This is a 100 microfarad 25 volt. And I think he's definitely reaching end of life. Surprisingly adult for a kids movie. I mean, the first Inside Out got very good reviews. I just when it's time to sit down and watch a movie, it's very, very hard for me to kind of convince my brain to watch an animated movie. It's just not the sort of thing I like. I like kind of more gritty stuff. Never seen Akira, but once again, I've never really been into anime. 4 100 microfarad 16 volts. So let's get the 16 volt container. I've actually got 2 16 volt containers. 100 microfarad. How many did I say? 4. 4 100 microfarad 16 volt. 1, 2, 3, 4. So easy to access the caps now. I love it. Love it. Right, now where do these go? Well, there is actually a little bit of gunk down here. One of these caps looks like it may have actually leaked some. Do you ever have a Color Classic with tall RAM preventing sliding out of the logic board? I just got a whole battery on Color Classic and stumped. Tall RAM preventing sliding out of the logic board. I'm just trying to think of the classic board. And so what Steve said, yes, you can gently bend the RAM module out of the way to barely clear the opening. Yeah, I must confess, I've got a classic up here. Trying to think. Yeah. Must be tall. Must be very tall RAM. It's quite a decent space there from memory. Yeah. 100 microfarad 16. I got to keep moving. I've got to keep moving or I'll never get this done. Getting way too distracted. Tiny little caps. 100 microfarad 16 volt. Teeny weeny little caps. The last film that I watched that I would genuinely say... God, that was weird. I would genuinely say I thought was like a really good film was The Creator. I really enjoyed that movie. I thought that was so good. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much for that, Justin. Shameless plug my channel where I explore the computers my generation grew up using. There you go. There's a link. $5 well spent. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. LC580. Wasn't that a wonderful computer? I have the 580 somewhere. I thought I would recap the power supply one day, but then when I went to go remove the power supply, plastic just kept breaking. So I was like, no, it can stay. It can stay. I have to be careful with my concentration at the moment because a couple of times I've put in the cap and then I've realised I've put it in the wrong way. And I've had to take it out and reposition it, which is a clear indication that I'm not concentrating very well. So this could be very interesting when I eventually fire this up. I steal all his best ideas. Thank you very much for that. LC580 performance phone is very, very a cut-down version of an LC575 where Apple cut back on a lot of the computers and made them cheap. And you know what the most frustrating thing about the 580 is from my perspective? This is coming at it from a completely selfish attitude, and that is that it's a different connector to the Color Classic and the 575, so you can't even use a 580 for a, what do you call it, what's that mod called for the Color Classic? The Mystic. You can't even use a 580 for a Mystic because it's a completely different connector. The one advantage to the 580 is that it is the same connector as some of the later PowerPC Macs, so you can get a PowerPC motherboard and stick it inside a 580 to kind of soup it up. Yes, I know. I have a sneaky suspicion we'd probably spend a lot of time together if we lived a little bit closer together. I mean, as it is, we have this group chat that, you know, a few members of it. I mean, like, seriously, if you don't hear from someone in, you know, sort of in a few hours, you start, you know, calling out for welfare checks because the The chat is always so busy. Okay, so that's 4 100 microfarad 16s in. 220 16s. See, I don't even need to leave these out anymore. I can put them away because they're so easy to access. Here we go. Let's get 2 of these. These 220 16s. Interesting thing. So this is something I want to mention. I've got a video that's going to be... So my next couple of videos are going to be product reviews. So if you don't like product reviews, I apologise. But product reviews I do quite enjoy doing, and they have quite a good evergreen status with your YouTube videos. In other words, you keep getting views from them. So I do quite like doing product reviews. So the next few will be product reviews. I'm reviewing a thermal camera. I may even try and work on that this weekend. I've written a lot of the script, and then a multimeter and a 3D printer. And then I've got a video that I might sneak in there somewhere, and it's a build video. My last build video has done very well. It's already hit 10,000 views. And that was about my little mini Quadra 700. But I'm doing a build video on a product that I call a PowerMac 4750, which never actually existed. And essentially I have a LC475 logic board, and I've got a PowerPC 601 upgrade on it. And one of the things I've actually found from that, when you run that 601 upgrade, the power supply runs insanely hot. And so I've had to kind of improve the cooling on this little computer that I made, because the power supplies were like, if you left them running for too long, they were just conking out. Computer would just restart or shut itself off. So yeah, it's really interesting that PowerPC upgrade is obviously a real power hog, and being very demanding on the little power supply of the LC. Love the product reviews. That's good. I like to hear that. I enjoyed your review of all the fluxes. That was quite the comparison. I enjoyed doing that. You know, that was a nightmare, really, because it's like, how do you review these products? I mean, how do I go in and do this? And so I came up with these ideas of different tests that I could do. And then I thought, at the end of the day, I've just got to use them and see how they go. But even when you're doing that, you sort of think there are so many factors that could end up making it seem like one flux was better than another. But once I actually then looked at it and said, okay, I'm going to have particular criteria. It's going to be how they smell, how, you know, their opacity, their the viscosity. Once I actually then started looking at it from that perspective of just being sort of scientific about all these different factors, it came together quite well, and I was very happy with the end result. And so were the guys at Styri. You know, they've been very, very helpful. You know, shout out to Styri. Links in the description. Discount code. Fantastic fluxes. And yeah, they were sort of really helpful, giving me information on this stuff, because at the end of the day, I'm no scientist. I'm no chemist. So, you know, I was having to get information from them about certain things, and they were correcting me on stuff. They're going, oh, you know, you said this, but it's actually like that. It's like, fair enough, didn't know that. Do you guys grease the anode? There you go. I've just been going up looking at some of the old messages. On this, I probably wouldn't bother. On you know, sort of the SE, these little 9-inch CRTs, I probably wouldn't worry too much about it. There's no harm in doing it. On the bigger Macs, you know, if you look on an iMac or something like that, it's probably not a bad idea to grease the anode cap for those. Get a really nice seal around there. Air. Okay, 22016s. Where do these go? There's one down here. Just over here. And then there's one hiding in here. Oh, come on, you sneaky bastard. There we go. Color Classics need it. Yeah, not a bad idea for Color Classics. They make funny noises if you don't they? I think. Bzzzt. I've got a real issue at the moment. I don't think I have any working Color Classic power supplies, so it means that I don't have any testing rig for those boards, those sorts of boards, whether it be a 575, sorry, yeah, 575 or a Classic or a Classic 2 or a 550 or whatever they all are, 520. And I've got a few boards here that need testing, and so I've got to sort out that Color Classic power supply situation. I hate working on power supplies. I've made that fairly obvious to people from time to time. I have little victories with them sometimes, and then other times I just get so discouraged, and I was like, stupid bloody power supplies. I just dropped so much money on soldering equipment recently, otherwise I'd get me some UV flux. That looks handy eventually. Yeah, look, I highly recommend it. In my review, I basically talk about the cost factor as well. And that's one of the reasons why I still like this one. I go through a lot of this stuff, this ASM flux. And so I really like this, and it's got the UV trace in it. The downside to this one is it does have some sort of unsavory chemicals in it, so you definitely want to be using this with fume extraction of some description. YouTube keeps dropping my video quality back. What? I'll write them a letter. I'll write them a very coarse letter. Dear YouTube, when, oh when, will you stop? 1000 microfarad, 16 volt. That's either in this one. I think the ones with 3 digits are in the other one. Yep, they're in this one. 1000 microfarads. Farad. Named after Faraday. $1,016. It's funny, all these replacement caps that I'm putting here are so much smaller than the originals. Oh, you mongrel, get in there. Thank you. Where do you get your resistors, capacitors and such from? Number of places. Capacitors I would generally buy from DigiKey. A lot of people use Mouser. I prefer DigiKey because certainly here in Australia, if I spend more than, I think it's $50, the delivery is free. And it really doesn't take much for me to spend $50 because I'll generally buy capacitors in fairly large quantities. I'll never just buy 1 or 2 or something. I'll buy in multiples of 10 and sometimes even more. Sometimes depending on, how frequently they're used in the stuff I repair. So DigiKey, and they're very, very fast for me as well because they're coming from overseas, but I still usually get them in 3 days. So if I order on a Friday, sometimes I even get them on a Monday. So a lot of those sorts of things I get from there. If we're talking about smaller components like surface mount components, resistors, capacitors, that sort of stuff, I generally will buy them from, I will either get them from DigiKey, or I might get them from, there's some other place in China I can't remember the name of. But I also have things like this. These are great. You can buy these from AliExpress. You get these little sample books, if you're doing repairs and stuff, these are really, really good. So this has just got a whole stack of different capacitors here. These are all 0805 packages, but you can get the same in 1206s and, you know, and whatever different sizes you want. And you can just buy these books and you get a whole bunch of, they're resistors, sorry. And then at the back, it's then got a bunch of capacitors as well. And you get ones that are just resistors and just capacitors. So these are really, really handy for all the little small ones. Things like LEDs, you know, again, I bought this from AliExpress, and this has got different package sizes of different LEDs in different colours. So we've got 0402, 0603, 0805 and 1206, and then I've got red, yellow, blue, green, white and orange. So that's you know, that's cool. So yeah, and then sometimes with like these sorts of resistors, just like actual old-fashioned ones like this, I just generally pick those up at my local electronics retailer JCar, which is just around the corner from me. Okay, I have a few colour classic power supplies that seem to be weak. What issues do yours have? My main one, it blows a fuse, which means it's probably like a dead bridge rectifier or something like that. I just need to get into it. And another one, I can't even remember what the problem is. It's such a long time since I worked on it. Yeah, got to get back into it. And then we have, I think it's only one capacitor left, and that is a 4700 10 volt. Where is me 10s? 10. Of course it's on the bottom. Of course it's on the bottom. Yeah, we go. 4710. What is that? 1500? Where's my 4700's 10? $4,710 volt. I don't have any 4700 10 volts. I must have 4700 16s. Use a 16 instead. Ow, 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 ow. Yep. I obviously just use 16s when I'm doing these. So. No harm in that. No harm in going up from 10 to 16. Yeah, I agree with the one that blows a fuse. It should be fairly straightforward. I've actually got a lot better at repairing those sorts of power supplies than I used to be. That's a long time ago that I was having that problem, so I just need to revisit it. I've actually got a video that's it's mostly done, but I wasn't happy with some of the footage, so I've got to re-record some of it, of repairing a power supply. And in it, I actually go through the exact steps for testing a bridge rectifier. So, which I'm hoping will be of use to some peeps out there. I think that's all the caps. I think we're all done. We're all looking good there. We're fine now. How are you? So I'm going to get under the microscope now. We're going to have a look at some of these solder joints, see if any of them need fixing up. And they probably will need fixing up. We'll just go ahead and say that right now. So, off to the scope view. I have to lift this up a bit, I think. There we go. So, what we have here is a failure to communicate. No, that's not what we have. We do have me not being able to see. All right, well, we've got cracks galore here. All of these, look at them. Look at them all. They're all cracky. Crackpot. I mean, look at this one. This one's a shocker. Look at it. Look it. Fixed a 512K that was blowing fuses by slowing adding voltage with a variac. When I spotted what was getting hot with a thermal imager, it was one of the 4 main filter caps. That's awesome. Jesus, yeah, it was a filter cap, was it? Was it a reefer, just out of curiosity, or was it? Because those filter caps are usually pretty reliable. Reefers aren't. But the other ones, like the Is it the polymer ones, I think? Alright, now, the way I generally fix these cracked solder joints is I don't just add new solder to them, I get rid of all the old solder. And I don't take all the solder off, otherwise the connector will fall out. So what I do is I do every second one, and then I go back and do every second one. So, in other words, I go and do this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one. Oh! Oh! It's alright, that doesn't go anywhere. Ooh, we don't need that one. I need something to kind of put under this to hold it up. How about that? How about that? Don't you do that thing. No, no, refit on the 5 okay. There are 4 big main caps. There's one of them getting... Oh, those ones. Yep, I know the ones you're talking about. I know the ones you're talking about. Fell down. Yeah. Right, and then we get some new solder on here. You can see we've got a couple of these little hoops that have fallen off. Once I get some solder onto them, they'll be held on with the pin. Because they're not going anywhere. They're just for decoration. And strength. It is a bit chilly in the shed. I've got my little heater down here. My little heater. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit actually because I'm quite cold. Oh. Get some flux on here. Yeah. There we go. Okay, the rest are a little bit easier because they are still held in place by a trace. Do. Right, so I've done those, and then I just need to do the same for the other ones. I mean, look at the crack on that one. Juicy as. Do. Whoopsie dink. Whoopsie. A little bit of flux on there. There we go. Okay, which connector is this one that I'm looking at the moment? Is this the power supply? There we go. Okay, so I've got all those ones cleaned up. And that one is... That is not the power supply connector. That is the one to the... I think it's to the CRT neck board. I'm pretty sure it's for the neck board. But I could be wrong. What else is there? Oh no, it is a power supply. It is the power supply connector. Nothing wrong with me. Brain not working. Alright, let's see what these ones are like. Yep, got cracks galore here as well. So, let it be known. Shout it from the treetops. These connectors do get cracked solder joints. Yes, there are quite a few unused pins on there, aren't there? So this is the connector, the sort of umbilical connector through to the logic board. So this one has two purposes. It supplies power to the logic board, but it also receives the video signal to then go up onto the CRT. I can feel the heat getting sucked out of my soldering iron from this huge mass of copper up here. Oh, thank you very much for the super chat. What temperature are you using? I've got this thing now. It's probably not this temp. It's probably a little bit cooler. I often find the temperatures that you set on these things aren't necessarily exact, but I've got this set on 450 degrees Celsius. And as I have said many times before, I don't necessarily recommend that as a temperature for everyone. Most people, when I tell them that's the temperature I use, they say it's too hot. And my general response to that is, well, it's not. It's the temperature I like working with. But it is too hot for some people. But I solder in a particular way where I kind of get in and out very, very quickly. And so I get things hot really fast, and then I do what I do, and then I zip away really quickly. And it's how I like to solder. And this has come from trying lots and lots and lots of different temperatures. I didn't just say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I tried lots of different temperatures, and I was like, this is the temperature I really like working with. And yeah, but it's a temperature you do have to sort of be careful with, because it's very easy to do damage. Okay, there we go. So that's two connectors done. Now this here is the power supply connector for the floppy, and to be honest, hard drive, that's not too bad, but we'll do it anyway. Proper job. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Is there a heat-safe method of reattaching delaminated through holes or tracers? Yeah. So like some sort of adhesive, you mean? Yeah, because I mean, the interesting thing is that one of the things that does actually impact on the way these things are stuck down on the board is heat. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't actually experimented with that. I generally don't do repairs in that way. I generally bodge something on top, do something a bit more janky. There's a Sean from Action Retro word. Janky. Jank. Right, another connector here. And more cracked solder joints. Look at this one. This one's a perler. And over here, look at that one. Nasty. Don't mean a thing. Dun, 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 all you nasty joints. This sort of part of the maintenance, I accept it's not very interesting. It's kind of, it's repetitious and it's not sexy or anything like that. But it is definitely, I mean, you can definitely see how important it is to do this. And so many times when I see people with vintage Macs, whether they be an SE or they be a Plus or something like that, and they fire them up and they're like, oh, it's got video issues, you know, it's flickering or it's collapsed to a dot or it's a line or whatever the case may be. In so many of those cases, it is just cracked solder joints. It can be something else, of course it can. It could be something worse, but in many of those cases, it is just a cracked solder joint. And you can get in there, fix a cracked solder joint, and away she goes. Oops, I missed. That was a good shot. Misfire. Misfire. It is therapeutic, isn't it? Just getting in here and working the way through one at a time. And of course, the other good thing about doing something like this, you know you're sort of doing some future-proofing here. You're preventing, you know, even if some of these joints you know, don't look too bad, they might be on their way out. This way you can kind of, you know, protect them for the future. Let's have a look at the flyback transformer because screen. Sorry, my monitor here is, the power supply is a bit, I don't know if it's hanging out or something like that. These don't actually look too bad. These don't look bad at all. They've got no signs of cracking whatsoever. So that's good. Okay. Alright. Looking good. So I think this one is pretty good. We've just got that yoke connector to deal with now. And I might see if I can sort that out. Excuse me. Sorry about the cough, people. Horrible noise. Right. Let's have a look at this. A bit of gunge on that, isn't there? Eh? Melty stuff. What can we do? We can lose the scalpel again. That's what we can do. There it is. So this is just all melted plastic, and that plastic melted when this pin got too hot, and it got too hot because of the cracked solder joint. saw a guy in, where did he say he was? I think he was in Sydney, I could be wrong. But just on Facebook, on one of the groups, he had a SE, SE30, and I think it was a Classic or a Classic 2 that he got hold of, I think, from a family member passing or something like that, and he's sort of looking for a value on them. And of course, the SE30 he fired up, there's a video of it fired up, and it's working. It's got a flashing question mark, so the hard drive's shot, but it works. And I don't need it. I've got enough SE30s, but I hope someone out there gets it. They are budding shells, Gibatronics. So these are 410 deep by 1200 wide. I've got I'll just quickly change views here. So they're these ones, are these key lock ones. They're in a powder coating, so they're actually quite nice. They're quite nice to look at. They're very easy to assemble. You basically just use a mallet, get these all into position. I've assembled heaps of these. I've got my other shed wall to wall with these, and then I've got some in a storage unit as well, and I've got some in my office. They have these MDF shelves, and of course that's not particularly good for putting ultrasonics on, because the liquid can sometimes spill out, and that MDF stuff, if it gets wet, it just swells up. So what I do is I've got these sort of laminate flooring sheets from an old job that I did a long time ago. I've just got some spares, and I've cut these to size, sit there to provide some, because these is actually a laminate top, so it's got some water resistance, so I can put the ultrasonic cleaners on that, and if there's a spill, it doesn't really cause a major issue. Yeah, so I've got a great big open section here. This is where I keep my chicken food. And then behind me are the capacitors. And then down here is an empty shelf that I haven't put anything on yet, but it will have something on there. And then up here I've got a shelf, and you can't see it, but I've got a few compact Macs here. So these are the ones that have been on the floor for a while because I've had nowhere to put them. Now I'm able to get them up nice and high and out of the way and everything. And then I've got two shorter shelves here. I've got my oven over there, that's where I dry my boards. And then I've got these shorter shelves up here where I've got all my problem boards at the moment, the boards that I'm working on. Well, most of them. There are some here as well, and there are some in another container. But yeah, and of course I put all my capacitors here. It's nice. I like it. And I was able to get my bar sign here, as you can see there, and I was able to get him really secure so he's not going to fall down like he used to. Yep, so there's two brands. They both use the same locking system. There's one's called, I think, Pinnacle, something like that. And then there's another one, and I can't remember. I've got the logo over there, but I can't remember which one it is that I've got. Okay, let's go back to the scope view and keep reconditioning this little pin here. So I'm going to file this off a little bit. Bring it back to a sheen. Montgomery or something it's called. Yeah, that rings a bell. Get some more of this gunk off. And I probably should just replace this connector, but I think I will. I'll be able to get this. I'll be able to get this good using the old one. I think, the main thing is getting a good connection. The other side of the plug will probably have to be replaced, but I think this side will be okay. Okay. Looking good. Looking very good. It does mean you can... yeah, well, I already had the crap. At least I had somewhere to put them now. The main thing is just making sure that stuff doesn't get damaged. That's the thing that I really worry about. You know, having vintage computers and then ending up getting damaged because I've got nowhere to put them. Melting! Oops. Forgot to change the scope view. There we go. Melting. Quicksilver Oz, hello there. Nice new shells. No scope cam. It's back now. It's back now. Oh, and I found my Stormtrooper as well. I don't know if you guys can see, but I got my little Stormtrooper back. I found him when I was doing my cleaning. Okay. So, okay, it's a little bit blackened and everything like that, but I do believe we should be able to get reasonably good contact onto that. I hope. I should, yeah, see, they're raised up. The thing is melted underneath it. Should still be okay, though. I'm confident. As confident as the day is long. Right, now I'm going to have to solder the connector on first, and then I'll do that one stray pin, because that one's going to be a bit tricky. It's gone to sleep. Soldering iron's gone to sleep. Took too long. There we go. Great. Okay. Now. So I mentioned this very quickly at the beginning of the live stream. I did some work on a hard drive. So I had a quantum hard drive with some data on it, and oops, come back. I'm just pushing it away, and I couldn't get it to fire up at all. I couldn't get it to spin up properly or anything like that. So I started to suspect that it was the controller. So I had another quantum hard drive, not the same capacity, but almost the identical controller board. So I fired it up, and I swapped over the controller boards, and it worked. I managed to get the hard drive spun up. I had that problem with the sticky heads, but I just freed that by hand. And then I got all the data off it. And the drive's, stuffed. I was never looking to try and repair the drive for permanent use. I was just repairing it to get the data off it. But I was able to get the data off it, so I was extremely pleased with the outcome of that. Just doing a little bit of, hard drive surgery. Now, how confident do people feel about this connection here? Interesting. Interesting. So that's this one here. Is it strong? Is it safe? It feels pretty solid. It does feel pretty solid. Okay. Alrighty. So that's the analog board pretty much sorted. I'll show you what... Actually, no, that means I'll have to take the whole computer down here. That's a bit of a poop. But I definitely need to have a look at the plug at the other end, because I suspect that's probably all blackened and everything, and I just need to make sure it's making a good connection. So that's all good. Might just have a little squiz at the power supply while I've got it here. Rusty old power supply. Oh, I should actually just... Someone talking about scanning old history and that. I should mention startup disk is full. Yes, startup disk is full, so feel free to stick a link to that in there, Dana, for people to have a look at. This is the little side project that I work on with Jay and Dana. And we have this little show. This term startup disk is full it relates to a Macintosh term, but it's meant to be indicative of having brains loaded with useless information. So it's just a sort of a podcasty type show, vidcast, whatever you call it, and we just sit there and chat about different technology subjects. And the last one we talked about digital archiving, and that was a lot of fun. I'm extremely unprofessional when I do that stuff. I get the giggles. I don't know why I get the giggles, but I do get the giggles. I don't know this one. Or do I? Interesting. These are an absolute friggin' nightmare to get out. Hate them. Digital archiving scene needs more attention. It seems like this old history needs to be saved, Tamer. Yeah, I mean, look, someone like Steve from Mac 84, he is really, really good with that stuff. I mean, he really does a lot for archiving things. You know, it's nice that people have that attitude that, you know, number one, we don't want this to be lost, but number two, we're going to make this available for other people to see. And that's just a really nice attitude to have. Ouch. Ouch. Definitely have a part 2 coming up on digital archiving. Yeah, there's a lot to discuss, that's for sure. I don't know if anyone's going to watch it, but... God. How am I supposed to get to that? Some bitch. What have I dropped? Oh, I'm a mousy. Mouthy. Ah, okay. There's special removal tool. Ah. So this computer, I'm doing this for someone who has owned this since it was new. I need to take this board out, and it's held on with 2 screws. One that I just undid there, and another one which is down in there. And I just can't get to it because of all these freaking cables. It's right there. And goop. Someone's put goop on there. Who's the genius that put goop on there? How's this going to happen? Someone who put this power supply together all those years ago is a dick. And I think I may have just damaged a component. And it'll be a replaceable component, but I think in the process of me trying to remove this goop, I've just damaged something. Okay, there we go. I've got access to the screw hole now. That was way too hard, and I'm gonna have words with whoever in the factory put the goop there to make this screw inaccessible. I am someone who really likes things to be able to come undone. And I get very annoyed when people make them so that it's hard to get them to come undone. Collect quite a few vintage software packages I've been able to add to the garden. Feels good to be able to contribute. Yes, it is excellent. I was telling the story in that show about the way I sort of restored a game disc back to the way it should have been, because it would appear that the Mac version had a corrupt file in it. And once I discovered that, I then, replacing the corrupt file with a good file from the PC version of the game, I was able to kind of restore that first disc into its original condition. And that was something that I really enjoyed doing. Not just for myself, but then for other people in the computer community. Now, I'm going to unsolder these here. Any recommendations on resources for troubleshooting SE30 boards? It's interesting you say that. You were talking about a logic board here. It's interesting you say that. There is an absolutely brilliant resource that hasn't been finished yet, and that's my fault, because I've promised to send the guy who made it some images for him to put in there of corrosion and stuff like that, and I just haven't got around to doing it. And essentially what he does is he goes through step by step the common problems that they have, and then and things you can do to test them out. Now, can you tell me what the symptom of your SE30 board is? What is the actual problem with it? Yeah. And I might be able to offer some suggestions. Right, now, did I damage a component on this? That's the question. No, I didn't. Yay! Recapped it, verified the recap, verified the entire data and address line matrix. And what does it do? Oh, look at that. Bulge. Where's the mouse? I'll show it to you. Look at the bulge. We got ourselves a bulge, people. I'm sure I have recapped these before. I don't know if I have a guide on it, though. I'll have a look. No chime. CMAC. Okay, no worries. Yeah. Unfortunately, the CMAC is so nondescript. Was there any sort of corrosion, trace damage, anything like that? Anything visible? That's the Sony power supply. I think Steve might have a guide for the other power supply, maybe. Almost none. Yeah. Do you have a oscilloscope? Have you been able to check to see if you're getting all the clock signals? Or the clock signal and all the frequency thingies. What do you call those things? Crystals, oscillators. Three model PSU using the SE30. They may well have. I mean, I know of the Aztec, and I know of the Sony. There might be another one out there. I'm just checking to see if I've got a recapping guide, because it means if I don't have a recapping guide, it means I have to take one cap off at a time, which is okay. That's not the end of the world. I don't have replacements for these big fat Nichicons. So we might just take a chance. Take a chance. Because there is, you see clock and activity data. You know what you need to do? Zakas. You need to get on to probably the Tinker Different forum, tinkerdifferent.com. In particular, what's his name? Tech Knight. He is really good at and actually Bowl's another one who's really, really good at diagnosing SE30 problems. So if you get on there and do a post describing your problem, people will probably be able to give you some steps to follow, because there is a step you can follow with an oscilloscope to check the frequency you're getting on the I think the address lines, and that's apparently quite an important process. So that would be the one I'd recommend, but unfortunately I can't remember that process off the top of my head. I mean, I think essentially you just, as you move your oscilloscope up the address line, you're supposed to each time get double the frequency. Each one up the frequency should double when it's running. And that's one of the tests that you can do. Oh my goodness. This is so bodgy. Have a look at this. Someone has done some, I would say this is a manufacturing fault, but someone's just virtually gone at this with a Dremel and just cut this thing away from the ground. Extraordinary. It's the screw. Okie dokie, let's start whipping some caps off. I mean, I'm not thrilled about doing more through-hole stuff, but it's got to be done. Not clean. Oh. Interesting. Okay. I assume you've tried it with a different power supply. We've ruled out an issue with the power supply. Take a chance on me. There we go. That one really did not want to come out. What do we got here? We got ourselves a 47 microfarad, 63 volt. Strope it. .7, 47. I don't have a ton of these, so, you know. Okay. Looks like a Mac 84 repair. Steve will be there going, "How dare you!" Oh. There's motion at your front door. I'm expecting a delivery today. I have bought an automatic feeder for my kitty cats. So it's one that just, you can set it up with a timer and then it just spits out some food at a particular time. And I thought that could be really cool. Because my cats, two of my cats are absolute garbage guts. They just, however much food you put in front of them, they eat it. So I would much rather, spit out food, smaller amounts of food at increments to try and stop them from doing that, binge eating. One of them in particular is so fat. When you look at her from the top down, when she's sitting down, she looks like a turtle. I mean, we've got to the point of, her name is Gizmo, got to the point where we just pretty much just call her Fatty. Hey, Fatty. Isn't that terrible? Body shaming a cat. Cats can program them. 25, 220 microfarad 25, 220 microfarad 25. This is one that's, it's got a little camera on it as well, so I can look at them. And the cat will just be like, "Why are you looking at me?" 220 25. It was heavily discounted on Amazon, except I bought it after Buddy passed. Oh, you bought it after? Okay. When are you getting a new cat, Dana? I'm hoping I'll be able to drum up a working logic board from around here somewhere, and we might even be able to test this out when I'm done. Because there aren't a huge amount of caps on this. So it should be a reasonably quick recap job. So I'm just looking for WICK. Oh no, I've got some here. I had some before. I had it in my hand. I even showed it to the camera. Here's a little stray piece floating around. That'll do. Yeah. God, that thing is down there. It's one of the reasons why I hate when people bend pins. If they're being inconsiderate to people who might have to change it at a later date. Inconsiderate. It's just rude. I did a video on Beginner's Guide to Soldering a long time ago. Long time ago. And in that video, I actually soldered 2 wires together. And people were like, hey, why don't you twist the wires together? Now, I do sometimes twist the wires together. But there are 2 reasons why I don't twist the wires together. Reason number 1 is that you get all your finger gunk on it. And I've got very oily fingers. So when you get your finger gunk on it, it means that the solder won't stick to it as well. The other reason is that if you ever have to desolder that joint, that connection, you end up probably having to cut it because you'll never get that solder off to then be able to untwist the wires. And I do always consider, whenever I'm soldering something, I always consider the possibility that we'll have to be unsoldered at some time. Rework, you know, because I do a lot of repairs, and a lot of the time repairs involve undoing something that's already been done. And I can't see the plus or minus sign on this because of the gunk. Jay is here. That's some shoddy work I'm seeing. It sure is. Sure is. But, you know, come on. I found a really puffy capacitor on this. I'm looking forward to testing it when I get it off. Okay. Okay, there we go. Next one. I don't even have a recapping guide for this one. How unprofessional is that, Jay? Blow up the capacitor for good luck. I may do that if I've got enough voltage here. I mean, you can always just reverse the polarity. That'll always do it. This one's going to be a cow to get off. It's just right in a sea of gunk. You know, that snotty stuff. Okay, where's that? That's the negative up that side, because I'm not going to be able to see that when I get that out. No way. No way, Jose. Josh Hayes, hello there. Thank you for joining. I consider today's stream has been a little bit on the dull side, and I apologise to everyone for that. It's kind of, I'm working on an analog board, and I don't know, analog boards I find a little bit dull. Has to be done. I think I'm going to end up destroying this capacitor getting it out. I feel like ice cream. There we go. Left a lot of the skin of the capacitor behind. What size have we got here? 470/16. Nice common size for that one. 470/16. Foxhound 477, hello there. Just completed my very first recap on my 1992 Subaru. What did you have to recap on a Subaru? I have to ask. What was it? 470/16. That was what I said, wasn't it? 470/16. Oh, I've got... that's better. I was going to say, these ones are really fat. I don't want to stick fat ones in there. I want a skinny one. God, that's terrible. Just making some room for this new cap. Someone just went way overboard with the goop when they were putting this together, and so it's made some of these caps really difficult to remove. Taco works out to disassemble the cluster and place 2 caps on the driver board for the taco. Isn't that amazing? I suppose the 90s is around about the time when there are lots of bad caps in the world. Why am I singing a frickin' ABBA song? The hell is wrong with you, Rain? Gotta find out where these are. I think it's those two. I think it's pretty sure it's those two. God, this thing is really sucking up the heat from the soldering iron. Just don't start singing Fernando. That's all right. I don't know the words to that one. Dun 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 dun, dun, Fernando. Do you hear the drums, Fernando, or something like that? I don't particularly like that song. I'll tell you one of their songs that I really don't like, but just gets played all the bloody time. Dancing Queen. Just don't like that song. This is another one that's covered in goop. Bought a Cotto solder sucker on Amazon. Thing had so much recoil. Yeah. It is an issue. I have to go and have a look and see what that Cotto one looks like. I really should do reviews of soldering products. You know, there was a company that was made all these really fancy soldering irons, and I contacted them and I said, I'd be interested to try out your products. I think my viewers would be interested. I've got a lot of people that are doing soldering, and they're like, yeah, okay, no worries, that's great. Here are some tweezers. Would you like to review these tweezers? I'm like, no. I'm not gonna spend all the time on a review for tweezers. You've got to be joking me. If I'm going to actually spend all the time on a review, I want to be getting something like a bloody, soldering station, hot air station, soldering iron, something like that. Their products looked really good, but no. Missed opportunity. Opportunity. Missed opportunity. Okay, so this one is another 470/16. Let's look at the old compared to the new here, 470/16. A lot easier to put these ones in because they're smaller. But still hard, because it's very squeezy in here. Okay, this one's a little bit fiddly to get in, I've got to tell you. We're getting there. We're doing this. There we go. It's in. I'll take a chance on me, SOS, and gimme. Yeah, I actually quite like SOS. I like the chorus of that song. And gimme, that's the one that's got sampled by that revolting woman. What's her name? Madonna. There we go. Okay, now this is another cap that feels like it's held in very well. Hello, Veronica Explains. Welcome. I jumped in just as an other conversation was happening. We were discussing the goods and the bads. I've been told that I'm allowed to sing Take a Chance on Me, SOS, or Gimme, but I'm not allowed to sing Fernando, and I flat out refuse to sing Dancing Queen. So that's you're all caught up now. Oh dear. And just to recap on what I'm actually doing here, I'm recapping the power supply of a Macintosh SE 30. This was brought to me by a woman. I generally don't take these jobs on very much anymore, just on very specific circumstances. This woman contacted me, well, she was reaching out. She was someone who bought this SE30 new all those years ago, and it's been stored in I guess probably outdoors or near the water or something, because it's got a lot of rust. She was looking to get it up and running again, just from a nostalgia perspective. She's like, I really love this Mac, and I'd love to get it working again. So I said, okay, well, you know, she's in Sydney, which is of course where I am, and so I said, look, you know, if you can get it to me, I will gladly have a look at it for you. And I just decided today, because I have just recently made some updates to my workshop in that I put some shelves in here, and those shelves have allowed me to get all my capacitors within arm's reach. I thought I would do a job that required me to get lots of capacitors. Now, this one I just took out. I think this was the spicy one. No, the spicy one's over there. Where is this one? Here it is. Is that the one I just took off? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so this is a 1200 microfarad 10 volts. This is a no Fernando zone. Oh dear. This is silly. I'll tell you, there's a song. There's a song that gets sampled so much. It's been sampled in like 200 songs or something like that. I've got to try and remember the name of the song. But anyhow, the name of the band that did the song is a band called Tom Tom Club. And for those who don't know the band Tom Tom Club, it's two of the members of the Talking Heads. So in the Talking Heads, you know, you've obviously got David Byrne as the lead singer, and you've got what's her name, the bass player. I've just drawn a blank. I share a birthday with her, actually, but I've forgotten her name. And anyhow, the bass player and I think the drummer, who are married, the bass player and the drummer of Talking Heads are married. They did a split off, this little sort of side project called the Tom Tom Club. And they've got a song, and it's something of love. I can't remember. It's something... I can't remember the name of the song. I could look it up. But and that particular song has just been sampled everywhere. It's sampled in a Mariah Carey song, amongst others. But the funny thing is that people would be so familiar with the sound of the tune, but of Genius of Love, that's it. A lot of people would be very familiar with the tune, but a lot of people have probably never even heard the original before, because it's not that well known. But I just thought I'd mention that, because I actually quite like the song Genius of Love. And when I heard it in the Mariah Carey song, I was like, ugh. Just like that. It's like, what did you do, you evil woman? I'm not smart or anything, I just Googled it. Tina Weymouth. The name came to me. Her name is Tina Weymouth. And I think someone... Jerry or something, Jerry something else. This has got a handwritten serial number on it. 93246277. Or is it someone's phone number? Shall we bring them up? It's the person I need to contact about how much goop they put on this board. I'm guessing that whoever wrote that on it is probably the same person that did this little kind of Dremel action here to separate this bit of copper. So for whatever reason, this did happen sometimes at Apple when they would produce something. After it went into manufacturing, they would find a fault with it, and then they would have to go in and do a repair like this in the factory. But they've had to go in and do that. Maybe people were getting electrocuted by it or something. And that's not very good for marketing or sales. Okay, so this is the spicy one. This one here. This is the one that's getting a bulge on the top. So I'll be interested to test this when we get it off. That whole album is incredible. Wordy Rapping Hood is one of my favourite jams. Well, there you go. I need to listen to more of it, to be honest. I only discovered the Tom Tom Club when... all those years ago when Stop Making Sense came out. You know, I am someone of the era of the VHS tape when you used to go hire videos, and Stop Making Sense was a, you know, live sort of video recording of a Talking Heads concert. And I think it's being re-released, actually. And I loved that. I really loved it. And in that... the Tom Tom Club do Genius of Love partway through while Talking Heads are sort of taking a break. David Byrne's getting dressed into another ridiculous outfit. And I was like, ah. And then, of course, then in later years was able to actually go in and YouTube the film clip to Genius of Love. Saw that VHS too as a kid in the 80s. Yeah, it was huge. It was really huge. You know, I was never a Talking Heads fan until I saw that movie. Okie dokie. So this is the cap. This is the spicy cap, and we might blow it up because that's what I like to do. This is a 10 volt 1200 microfarad. So let's test it and just see what it's doing. I'll get my little... I think the battery might be flat on this. I think this is giving completely wild readings. But we'll just see. That's a Positivo. And that's a Negatoro. Did it even change? It's definitely not working. Definitely not working. It needs to be calibrated or something. No, that's a waste of time. I'm not even going to bother with this anymore. I do have this thing. I've got this oversized multimeter here. Look at this big chungus. Look at him. And you can do a little bit of testings on these. Let's try this one. You're supposed to set different frequencies for different capacitance. This is set on 1 kilohertz at the moment. I think that's a good amount, but it may not be. I need someone to explain that to me. Can you explain that to me, Veronica? Because I have no idea. Oopsie. Whoopsie. No. I'm going to just try it with the normal multimeter. Capacitance. And we'll see what we get. I wish I could. And I don't think there's much doubt that this capacitor is past its prime. I'm getting some very interesting readings there. And nothing like what I should be getting. Oh, see if we can hold that in position there. Oh, that helps if you actually get 2 leads from the same device. I've got mismatching leads here. It's like, what's going on? Oh, it's because I'm holding a lead from a completely different device. There we go. Now, too many leads. Struggling. And my fingers are hurting. .9. Well, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good at all. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to blow this up. Just cause. I will need some leads for that. I don't always blow things up, but I feel like I should today. Missing some leads. These longer leads, and I don't know where they are. Yeah, this might have to do if it reaches. Is it going to reach? All right, 12 volts. Now I'm going to do this in a way that it doesn't inflict any damage on me. We'll start off just doing it with. There we go. 2 volts there. Oh, it's not even on camera. There we go. So. $1,210. Yep, cool. There we go. So, I'm going to just start ramping up the volts here and just see what happens. Yeah. I mean, I probably shouldn't be holding this. I probably should have it in something like, I don't know, something holding it because, you know, it's probably going to blow up. Should we just reverse the polarity of it? We'll just reverse the polarity of it. That'll definitely blow it up. You know what? I think this is gone. I honestly don't think... I'm not getting any resistance on this whatsoever. I think these leads aren't joined up inside or something like that. I think it's totally gone. It's not getting warm. There are no currents going to it at all. So, how disappointing. I'll just get a replacement before I forget what it is. It's a 1210, and then we'll just have to blow something else up, I guess. What do we got? What do we got? This one looks nice. This is another 1210. Let's see if we can blow this one up. Alrighty. That's more like it. So that's 12 volts, and I'm really hitting it pretty hard at the moment. It's got 2 amps are going to it at the moment. That's as much as this will output. Oi! Crept up on me. Sorry, it was off camera. I didn't even realise. I was too busy to look at the capacitor to look up at the camera. I'm sure you saw some of the smoke come out. It's all sticky now. Yuck. It smells too. Isn't that terrible of me? I didn't do it on camera. I actually was off camera at the time. What an idiot. Smells. Okay. Which way around was it? Plus that side. Okay, cool. Sticky. Come on. Get in there. Thank you. That's the minus, that's the plus. Good, good, good. So that that cap that I removed, the one that was bulging, was shot. I'd say that it's actually the leads come away or something inside it, because I wasn't getting anything at all. No power going to it at all. When I hooked up that other one, I could see it was definitely unhappy. But I thought it might smoke a little bit first, but it just went like a little firecracker. Pop. And scared me. Best part was watching me jump. Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, I've blown up quite a few capacitors on this channel from time to time. And most of the time, they start shooting out a bit of smoke first. But not that one. That one just saved it all up. Right, now that's all of the... Now, of course, that would almost definitely mean this power supply either didn't work at all or didn't work well. So the fact that we have replaced a cap that was so clearly bad is a really good sign. I'm just looking for more caps. I know I've got these 2 big fat ones here, and I've got that one, and this one is a... it's got more snot on it. I can't read it. I'm going to have to take it out to find out what it is. I don't know if I'll have one of these, but we'll see. It does explain why I was getting all these terrible readings when I was trying to test it, that I think it was just essentially, it was so stuffed that I wasn't getting any sort of reading at all. That dead cap. I want people to say they come to this channel for the explosions. And next time I'll try and get it on camera. Oh, it's so cool having a clean floor. Hey. Hey. Oh, God, this one is really difficult. I don't want to damage this cap because if I don't have a replacement, I want to keep this cap in just for now until I can get a replacement. What am I going to use? Try maybe a screwdriver. Shit! I've just been sent a video of my explosion. This came from Jay. There you go. So Jay is very, very quick at doing stuff like that. If I do something silly or say something silly, or if I don't know, say something, let's just say I say something like, oh, the Puck mouse is my favorite mouse ever made. That will then very quickly get taken out of context and turned into a video and sent to me. And today is on the ball with my little explosion. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take out the thing that it's glued to as well, which is a little filtery, inductory thingy, who's the fudge. And I think then I can separate them when I get them out. It's these two here. Got you back. Dear. This sucks. I don't know who invented this sticky goopy stuff, but this is industrial strength stuff. There we go. It's gone. You've got quite the delay on your video stream. I do. I don't think I do. I'll check. I'll go Okay. Alright, this is my emergency backup sound while I go and get myself a replacement one of these. I didn't bring two down because the other one's on a charger. So if you wouldn't mind just giving me 60 seconds to duck up, get the other one of these that's all charged up, and then we'll have sound again. So I'll be right back. Ta-da! Hello everyone. Sorry about that. Okay, now where was I? That's right, I pulled this thing out and he needs to go back in. And then I've got to see if I've got this replacement cap. Fennec Tech, hello there. Emergency backup stone. Yeah, so basically what happens when that goes, I have a microphone on my webcam up the front here and I can just divert to that. And it sounds awful, it's like yuck. But it's better than no sound at all, and it at least gives me that opportunity to say, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. There's more exciting stuff coming soon. That's a lie, we know that, but... Oh my God. I need someone to... How do I get ABBA out of my head? You have to replace it with something else, don't you? You have to go start doing like... singing Africa by Tato or something like that. I bless the rains down in Africa. Bing, ding, ding, da, ding, ding, ding. Ding, 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 da, ding, ding, ding. There we go. Now, solder this little guy back on. But the only reason I took this one out was because it made it easier to separate it from the capacitor it was glued to. So you can go straight back in. If you're happy and you know it does a good job. Yeah. I suppose. We'll see what happens. I might have Africa in my head now. Right, now, so this one is a 16 volt 220. Well, that's fine. I got heaps of those, I think. Sorry. 2200, sorry. 220 would be a lot smaller. 2200 16 volt. Well, 2200 16 volt. I have two of them left. Oh, no, I don't. I've got heaps of them. Got some tall, thin ones, and I've got some little fat ones. I think the little fat one will be good for this one. Fatty, fatty, fat, fatty, fat. Okay. got to accentuate the positive. There we go. What type of scalpel do you use? Well, you'll actually find a link in the description. The blades, so the handle, I think they call it the number 3 handle. God, it's dirty. Far out. This needs a clean. It's got to go in the ultrasonic. The handle is a... so this is what happens. You know, I come down here, my hands are dirty, and then I put my dirty hands onto my equipment. So this is a number 3 size. It's a surgical scalpel. The blade is Swan Morton. Now, you've got to look out for these because sometimes they're insanely expensive, but then you can sometimes pick them up for a song. Because they're surgical, they're sterilised, and that, I think, can sometimes make them a bit more expensive. But I love them. I've been using them because I used to work in graphic design and pre-press and whatnot. And we used to use them there, and I can't find all the blades. But anyhow, Swan Morton is the brand of the blades. And I do have a box in here somewhere of more, but it's in this little pile of stuff here. I'll solder this on and then I can have a better look. Because in actual fact, I do need a new blade on it. The end is rough as guts. Rough as guts, mate. 23:47, perfect time for a sandwich. Is it? Is it really? I have to admit, I'm getting pretty bloody hungry. I might have a pie for lunch. Go out and get myself an Aussie meat pie. Maybe even a sausage roll. Okay, so I have already established that I do not have replacements for these 230 microfarad, 200 working volts capacitors. So I will not be replacing those. I'm hoping that they're okay. I can always take them out and test them, but, you know. There we go. There's a bit of conformal coating over that. All right. Well, shall we put it back together and just see what happens, eh? Do you have a cat or dog? If you're asking me, I have 3 cats and 5 chickens. Can we say hello to the chickens? None of them to be seen. Oh, there's one. See one off on the right there. 2 off on the right there. But yes, so I've always owned cats for my entire life. I have had dogs as well, but cats suit my lifestyle better. Right. I would have you believe she's never eaten a day in life. I've got a cat like that. Never used to have cats like that, but we rescued a couple of kittens the beginning of last year, I think it was, and they're just garbage guts. They just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. And all the cats I've owned before that have just been grazers. You know, you put food down, they just eat what they want, and then they go away. So it's sort of been it's been quite difficult. And one of them in particular is just getting so fat. More of this bloody glue stuff. God, whoever put this on, heavy-handed. There you are. Okay, live. That's the brown colour. Live. There we go. Now he's in there. Actually, I might just solder that while I've got him in there. He's in is in real good. Something very heavy just landed on the roof of this shed. Probably a raven. They're a big bird. Okay. Not happy with that. Not happy with that at all. There we go, that's a bit better. Sorry about the focus, I won't be in this position for long. Speaking of blue scuzzy, I need to make one. I love making blue scuzzies. It's a fun thing to do. Good honing of the surface mount soldering skills. Lots and lots of little surface mount components. I did plan to make a video of doing that, but I'm just not sure if anyone would be interested in watching it. I suppose it'd be a good surface mount soldering training, I suppose. Something like that. Find an angle. Storing a titanium PowerBook G4 800 megahertz. The titanium power. Oh, love those. Love those. What sort of condition is the little plastic edging around the front like? Because they sometimes get a bit yucky there. I've got a 1000. I've got a 1 gigahertz one. And I love that Mac. I just love it. It's just one of my favorite Macs. I love it to pieces. Right, that's in. I've got to try and get this bloody screw in. Good watch it. Well, that's nice of you to say. I thought that one day I might do one of my wine and workshop videos and solder a blue scuzzy doing that, because it is the sort of thing that I actually do after having a couple of drinks. Sort of like, yeah, I'm gonna make a blue scuzzy with a few wines. Oh, it's good fun. Replacing the display panel, I've never had to do that. I've never had to do that. And I hope I never have to do that. Oh man, this sucks. I think I might need my special glasses. I'm going to have to stick my head in front of the camera for a bit, so sorry about that, everyone. Head. Look at his great big head. It's like Sputnik. Ah. Wants to swear very loudly. Consarnate. Dagnabbit. Criminy. Oh, I do not like the look of that. Oh no, you're okay. Just seems worse than it is. I think it will be easier for me to get the screw in position like this and then put the board down. Crap. Jeremy, hello there. Gregory Brady, hello there. Ever worked on Apple Lisa widget hard drive? That's what my bench torment. That's what's on my bench tormenting me right now. No. No, I can't say I have. Tell you what, I have done that. Oh, here we go. Just dropped it. So, widget hard drive, you say? I may have worked on one of those and not known what it was. You say widget hard drive. Pacmkey? Pacmk? Hello there. Pacmk? Yeah. Pacmke? I'm really struggling getting this screw in here. It's such a tight fit. It's so much easier on the Sony ones. Fifth. Elemento, hello there. I was talking about you before. Someone was asking if there is an SE30 guide, a diagnosing SE30 guide, and I was like, well, there's an incomplete one, and I've been really naughty and have meant to send some images so that it can get finished, and I haven't sent those images, and I feel really bad about it, and I need to remedy that. But I said, ultimately, yes, there's an awesome guide that's just not finished yet. Check out the IDE file, which is like Blue Scuzzy for the widget. A challenging project to build, but nice one done. Okay, cool. I think it's the only hard drive that Apple ever made all by itself. How about that? I've actually got some Lisa parts here that I need to repair. I'm part way through it, but it's just trace repair. It's just trace after trace after trace after trace. Alright. Alright. Feeling pretty good. I just realised that I've been on a stupid view all that time. Missed. Okay, I just did something really, really dumb. Again, I should say that. God, this is just a design nightmare, this is. Right, now this is where we get brute force happening. I might get a big pair of pliers for this. Big pair of pliers to push that in. This just sucks. So I'm told that there's a tool for this. Having one right now would really be good. I hate, having to apply all this incredibly, brute force, because there are fragile things here, and I don't want to break them. Hey, there we go. Ta-da-da-da. Now I have to bend all these things back into shape that I bent out of shape. Trying to get this. There we go. That should be fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's all fine. It's fine. It's fine. I didn't even go and check to see if I put all the caps around the right way. Do you know that? I normally do that. I didn't do that today. I'm so confident in my abilities. So we put some power into it, and we'll just see if it blows up. That's always a good way of testing. Do. Oops, that's probably meant to be somewhere. Never mind. No one will miss it. Always end up with bits left over, don't you? Shh, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. If there's a bit left over, don't tell anyone. Is that right? Loop. Okay. And then I'll put all these screws back in here. Actually, well, no, I'm going to use these screws right now, aren't I? Well, should we just stick power in it first, and we'll just see if it blows up? We'll do that. That makes sense. Okay, everybody ready? Didn't blow up. Didn't blow up at all. That's a bit disappointing. All right, let's check some voltage. See if we've got any electricity coming out. I assume the black ones are negatives, so we'll do that. And what do we got there? Maybe it doesn't work without load. That's really weird. What's going on? What am I doing? Am I doing something wrong? Not paying attention? Oh, you'd think you'd get something. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking it does need a load. Let's just put it together, shall we? I'll unplug it before I do that. I probably should have got the thermal camera out, shouldn't I? Just seen if anything was getting hot. Anything was getting warm inside. Oh, there's a fuse. I didn't even bother to check the fuse. I might check the fuse. That just seems a sensible thing to do. Because if that cap was stuffed and maybe caused a short or something, the fuse could have blown. I am not a smart man. Okay, continuity. Beepity beep mode. Testing. Got a beep. Good. Fuse is fine. Just having a quick look here to see if anything looks untoward. Right, so we're going to actually give it a proper test. Silence at last. I like the silence. ASMR. I hate ASMR. Someone's doing some building out there by the sounds of things. Lots of clunking and clacking sounds. 16C is still t-shirt weather. It's 18 where I am at the moment. And I'll be honest, it's a lot more pleasant than it was when I first came down here. It was pretty bloody cold when I came down here to start off with. But yeah, I could probably take this jacket off actually. But I'm not gonna. Because I'm not uncomfortable. Alright. Analog board. Analogous. So this one has really had the works. We've recapped the power supply, we have recapped the analog board, and we've fixed a lot of really ugly cracked solder joints. So I'm feeling reasonably hopeful that this one will work. I will probably put this into my SE 30, not the customers, because the customer still has that really bad connector on the yoke, whereas the connector on the yoke of mine is not too bad. The only problem with mine is it's really dirty at the moment, and you know why it's really dirty? Let's just say mistakes were made. And regrettably, a chicken spent the night locked in my workshop. And as a result, it decided to perch itself on top of my SE30. So it got temporarily used as a chicken perch. And a bit of poop inside as well. It's nice. So it does need a thorough clean, my SE30. But I do believe it will still work. Well, we'll find out one way or another, won't we? Maybe the chicken poop will make it work better. But as I say, mistakes were made. We learn from them. But if you're wondering why my SE30 is just so dirty, that's the reason why. Just a second. There you are. Oopsie. That's not unsafe at all, is it? I'm actually not feeling particularly confident about this, using this SE30 at all anymore. So I am going to use the customers with the janky plug, and we'll just hope for the best. God, come on. Here we go. Alrighty, righty. Now, let's see what the side view looks like, as this will probably be better as a side view. It's not too bad. I fixed up the ridiculous brightness situation I had with that view, so it doesn't look too bad now. So, this is this janky plug we've got here. Now, It actually doesn't look too bad. Inside, that is. Yeah, I'll give it a whirl. I'll take a risk. Oh, yeah, that's a good question, Joe. I have no idea. Hello, Joe, by the way. Can you see what chicken poop can do to automotive paint? Yes, I have. Oh. It's good for the garden, though. That's one thing I will say. That's not in there. There we go. There we go. In position. Now I've got a sneaking suspicion I've got a second bag, Ziploc bag for this computer. I just have to find it. Where would I have put that? It's probably just floating around on this desk here somewhere, because I haven't done anything since then. No, that's not it. Alright, now I've got to find myself a working SE30 board. Shouldn't be too hard to find because I've got a few floating around. Not those ones, that's for sure. Choo choo. There is an SE30 board here. And it looks intact. I think we'd go as far as to say, looking fine. A little bit of trace repair work done on that one, but it looks like it's working. I can't imagine I would have put one away looking like this that didn't work. So let's just try and see what we get, if we get anything. And it could be completely dead. But we'll see how we go. So we've got an anode cap, goes into the little hole there. We've got our yoke connector plug here, which we'll see what happens with that. Anything is possible. And what's that? That's our board connector thingy, what do you call it? Neck board. Neck board. And where's that go? Oh, God. Is it always that hard to get to? Oh, no, I didn't connect in the bloody power supply. What a silly person. I was just going to say something really, really rude about myself, but I resisted the temptation. Okay, come on, anode cap. Stop being so stubborn. Thank you. Okay, I just can't believe I did something that stupid. Well, I can actually. That's how I roll. Right, so we're getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there. It's taking a little longer than I thought it would, but that's okay. It'll be worth it. Oh dear, there's just no way I can promise that. Right, so I'm not going to worry about connecting that or that, and I'm not going to bother about putting the board in here. I'm just going to hang the board outside. We won't get a chime. Actually, that's the point. We won't get a chime if I do that, so I might put the board in after all. because we've got to have a chime. Hello, chicken. I have a visitor. Hello. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. Very dangerous. Don't do what I'm doing. Turn the brightness right that way up. And switch it off. And then stand back. And 3, 2, 1. Ha ha ha! Chimmy chim chime. Not getting any video, but I'm not overly concerned about that because of that connector that we've been talking about with the problem. I wouldn't be at all surprised if this is related to that, and probably if I give it a bit of a wobble, it might come good. But it chimed, so we know the power supply side of things is working. We're getting power to the board. We're just not... Help if you stick the frickin' anode cap in place. Dear, oh dear. This is what happens when you start something and then you realise you haven't done something properly, and then you have to stop and do it again, and then you realise you miss steps. You say, oh no, I've done that. Oh no, wait a minute. I did it the first time, not the second time. God, what a moron. Hey, look at that. Now, we have got a few problems here. They're going to need some adjustment. No doubt about that. And that, again, this could be that dodgy connector. But there's nothing here that we can't really resolve. So feeling pretty good about that. Yeah. We should get a flashing question mark in a moment. Yeah, just like that. So definitely need to do a little bit of work on the video side of things. But I can't say I'm overly surprised about that. And that should be repairable. So, yeah, it's all right. Pretty good. Feeling good about that. All right. Well, we're part way there. We are definitely part way there. Getting nice... You know, good power supplies, power from the power supply. We just got to sort out all those video-related issues. And, yeah. Won't that be fun? Yeah. So I'm just looking at things here, looking at the state of them. Because one thing I should also mention is that when I got this computer, there was a fair bit of evidence of burning. I'll show you. Look at that. And that. That. Not ideal. So we could well have ended up with a couple of components going a bit skew-if, and that'll have to be something that I go and check out some of these resistors and diodes and things. I'll have a look. Oh, anyhow. SE30 from the wine episode. Possibly. Is that the one where I did all of the really slow reveal type stuff and kind of kept everyone hanging? I'm like, let's see what it's like inside. Yeah, it's that one. Not the logic board though. This is the logic board is it's either mine or someone else's board. I'll have to look up the serial number. But yeah, this is just the analog board. I just recapped the analog board and recap the power supply. And so, and it chimed, so we're getting power, but we are getting a bit of a wonky picture. So we've got a bit of work to do there before we can settle down with that one. Away. Ouch. Ouchies. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's pop that up on the... You can use a little hat. There's a hat for him. Yeah, that's nice. Alrighty. Yep. This is my multimeter saying goodnight. Alright, so I'm just going to jump back onto here. I'm going to do a glasses swap. This is my magic glasses. There we go. My less magic glasses. So I'm going to probably wrap it up now. So I'll do my normal thing. Right, just sort of say thank you to everyone for joining. How am I going for views at the moment? I started off pretty slow, but I think it built up a bit at the end there. 38 at the moment by the looks of it. So thank you to everyone for joining me. I apologise if it was a little bit dull today. I felt like it was pretty boring. So I hope others didn't feel that way, but I certainly felt like it was boring. We did get to blow up a capacitor, so that's something. Even if I did it off camera by accident. So I hope everyone likes my new shelves and my fire blanket. Yay. It's always been here, it's just never been on view. Oh yes, I haven't done a smash. Smash, just a sec, smash.
Smash that like button.
Yeah, so I've got to figure out what I'm making for dinner tonight. Probably have to go out and buy some things for it. So thank you to everyone. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for the super chats. Got a couple of super chats today. For those who did that, thank you very much. Thank you for keeping the chat nice and fun and lively. It's all been a lot of fun here tonight, or today. So thanks again. I hope to see you at the next live stream. I've got a few things coming up. So I've got a few product reviews coming up and another build video coming out soon. So it's all in the pipeline. So thanks again. I hope you all have a good time wherever you are. And I hope to see you with the next one. Bye-bye.